Welcome back, everybody, to We Are TPM with myself, Kyle Teixeira, sitting next to, once again, John Teixeira. We have today with us Joel Verinder, owner of Red Glider Getaways, here to discuss short-term rental optimization. So if you guys have any questions about this or interested or really just want to talk to us and hear our voices a little bit more, give us a call, 817-818-9039. Shoot us an email at showmethemoney@wearetpm.com. Let's get into it. Thanks for coming in, Joel.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for having me.
You want to try to say Red Glider Getaways?
I was going to say, I'll let you re-say it, because I kind of butchered
really
it.
Fast.
Yeah, Red Glider Getaways. It's our website. You can go to redglidergetaways.com. All our properties are listed there. If you ever want to get a hold of me or whatever, see what we're doing, that's the best way to jump in. Well,
I appreciate you coming back. You guys may remember we had Joel in here. I don't remember how long ago, but it
was quite a while ago. And we were talking about Gatlinburg. I think that's before you entered another market. Now you've entered in Gulf Shores, right? So I think since that time or right around that time you had done that. And so I assume everything's still going well there. We're here to kind of talk about operational things, right?
Yeah. So since I don't remember exactly that timeline, but just to set it straight where we're at now. So now we own and operate in Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg area in the Smoky Mountains. So we have 9 properties that we own and operate up there, and then I property manage 2 additional ones up there. And then we've got 1 in Gulf Shores, and we've got 2 here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So I think also since maybe we last talked, I focused also more on pricing now.
Yep.
And so I price for about 45 homes on a month-to-month basis as well. So I do this full time, this and talk to crazy guys on podcasts. But yeah, so it's fun. It's, like everything else has got its ups and downs, but it's good to define your own day a little bit,
Yeah, because last time we talked to you, you were really jumping into the journey of taking over these short-term, or not taking them over, just starting these short-term rentals, and now you're focused really on revenue management, pricing management. So, is pricing in short-term rental markets even important in 2025?
Oh man, even more so than ever, right? So it's funny because I do calls with folks, just discovery calls, owners, and just as we talk about pricing and kind of pull back the layers a little bit on their own properties and kind of talk how they discuss it and how the market has shifted on pricing. And pricing definitely has changed from 2020 and 2021 to today, and lead times and how people book and definitely it's a different strategy altogether.
So a lot of people are using tools like AI tools and stuff like that to do this pricing, right? It's kind of, I don't want to say it's the lazy way, but it's the new way to do everything, right? And there's an algorithm for everything, it seems like. One of the things that I feel like you're doing, giving it a personal touch, right, is putting that human element into it. So I assume, for instance, we got a couple big things happening here in our area that we could start planning for, because people are going to book way in advance for, we got F1 coming, not F1, I'm sorry, IndyCar coming.
World Cup.
And World Cup. And those are things that the AI may not pick up properly, right? They may see a little bit of an increased demand in the area, but 2 years in advance that World Cup is coming and that demand's going to be up. And so talk about that a little bit. I mean, that's probably the biggest difference between what you do and these these quote unquote AI tools are doing. Am I right?
Yeah, well, a little level set a little bit here. So there are a couple of different software providers out there, right, that help you set your pricing between, Price Labs is obviously the market leader, Beyond and Wheelhouse or others. They're all great starting points, right? If you rely on it 100%, you just log in and you say, hey, set my base price and go, you're not going to get the most out of it, right? So, it's kind of like using Microsoft Excel. You can use this cell plus this cell equals that. And if you just want to use that for Excel,
it works just fine.
You're using it, right? Or, you can do all types of conditional formatting and pivot tables and all that, right? So it just depends how deep you want to get into the tools themselves, right? But no, that's definitely some of it is to understand the local market and the events. I mean, yeah, you mentioned the World Cup and the big race that's coming here. It's going to go around Texas Stadium and all that. Just like you guys are in Orange Beach and Gulf Shores, right? We know every year they have the Hangout Fest, right? Or this year it was huge, right? Because Morgan Wallen was in town and it sold even better than years past, right?
Sand in my boots.
Yeah, so knowing these events, right? These compression events are key.
Yeah.
Just so you know your market a little bit better than an algorithm does, right? So holding, to those and planning for those events.
Well, and you can get ahead of it, right? The algorithm usually finds out about these things on data-based points, like demand picks up for this weekend. All of a sudden, they're like, "Oh, there must be an event going on." Goes and checks and finds it that way.
As long as you're not the first one booked that spikes that demand.
Exactly. If you're on the front end of that, you get, you don't get the benefit of that. Like people booked for the World Cup 2 years in advance. And, did they pay as much as they're going to pay 6 months? Probably not. So
on the flip side, I'm hearing some of the same stuff about World Cup that I heard about the Super Bowl. Now, Kyle, I don't know if you remember when the Super Bowl was here, that was about the time that short-term rentals were becoming really popular. I think we had one or two at the time. We had just kind of started in the market when the Super Bowl was here.
When was the Super Bowl here?
Oh,
man, there was a big ice storm.
Big ice storm. Green Bay beat us and somebody else, and God, I bet a Green Bay fan would be able to tell us exactly what year it was.
We try not to remember
Cowboy
when we're not
fans,
winning them.
Yeah. But anyways, what I remember about leading up to the Super Bowl is the numbers that people expected to get renting out their home. Like, oh, I'm going to go to Cancun for the week. I'm going to rent out my home for $5, $6, $10,000. Everyone thought this, right? Mm-hmm. It didn't come to fruition to the level that everyone talked about or thought. Mm-hmm. I'm hearing the same kind of conversations happening with the World Cup coming up. And I've been cautioning people that while you're right, there will be an increased demand and you will get more rent. I don't think it's going to be to the level that everyone's out flipping all over the place and telling everybody. You know what I mean? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, these are definitely different events. Like they're, if you want to compare different types of compression events, like last year in North Texas, we had the total eclipse come right through, right? So we were right in that small band, right?
Where that was almost a last minute type of event. Oh, kind of.
Not really.
So
that was known a long time in advance.
Like an eclipse
exactly where it's going to hit.
It was, but the general population didn't know about it.
No, the eclipse chasers definitely knew about it.
Our homes, we got bookings. One was 18 months in advance and one was 12 months in advance, right? For the whole 4 or 5 day window, right? Because we put a long minimum stay on it, right? So if you want to book it, you had to book for not just the night of the eclipse, right?
Like 4 or 5 days.
So anyways, everybody knew that was coming, right, for a long time, and it was just a very particular, right, on where it was going to hit. The World Cup we all know the World Cup's coming, but we don't know the particulars of it yet, right? We don't know exactly what the groups look like. We don't know exactly who's playing what day.
That is still being
those will be some of the big markers, I think, and how bookings will come across and how pricing will hit.
It's so important because, like you said, the semifinal games here at Cowboy Stadium. Mm-hmm. Well, if the U.S. made it to that game, right?
Yeah,
the amount. How would that look?
Because that's not happening. But
that's not happening. But
it would drive demand.
It would drive demand. But then you got a lot of people live here in the U.S. What if it was Mexico? Now would that drive demand more? Yeah, because they're close and they have.
They're also talking about they're trying to get Argentina or Chile to place their base camp here in this new stadium here in Mansfield, and if they accomplish getting a team here as a base camp. God, that would be a game changer.
Yeah, there clearly won't be enough hotels in the area to support all that. So short-term rentals will do well.
Yep.
And if those things don't happen, it could you could have an unexpected lack of demand. So So how are you dealing with that?
Man, well, so particularly if we're talking about Dallas Fort Worth, we just have 2 homes here, so not as many as you guys have. It's interesting when you compare this market to the other markets, vacation markets, traditional Smokies and Gulf Shores, for example, right? We get obviously a whole different type of traveler here. We do get folks that come to Fort Worth that are on vacation or coming to a Cowboy game. But, I would say the type of person that we get is just very different. I mean, I would say this past year that maybe 20% of the folks that are coming through our homes are insurance claims, right? They are, hey, we had a flood in the home and we need somewhere to go. We have a dog and they don't want to go to a hotel, right? And so they're going to stay with us for 6 to 8 weeks at a time, right? Or there's like somebody in their family's having a baby. And so they want to come and support the family, but they don't want to stay in a hotel. They don't want to stay with them. So, I mean, those are the types of stays that we get a lot more of than we do in a vacation market.
It's a good majority of it.
So it's just different booking patterns, and, you have a different persona, right, that's coming through. But just particularly like with ours, as we talk about, let's talk about maybe markets in general, on how they're doing and what I'm seeing.
Let's do it.
Anyways. It's been an interesting year. The mountains, for example, Smoky Mountains, it's probably one of the worst kept secrets. It hasn't been performing well this year. You could see the number of listings that are up, pretty high.
Is it similar to what happened in Broken Bow?
Well, I think a lot of it, I don't know exactly the story on Broken Bow, but a lot of it is our visitor count in the Smokies is down a bit, right? So we did hit some highs, a couple of years ago, and we were still very high, right? Smoky Mountains National Park is still like the number one national park in the country, right? But we're still dropping a little bit, and supply has gone up, right? So you add those two things in. And you're going to see, more competition, right?
Yep.
So in the Smokies, our portfolio is in the Smokies down about 9% this year in the Smokies, which is significant across, a good number of properties that we have.
Yeah.
And adversely, I'm seeing huge gains like in Gulf Shores this year. We're up close to 20% in Gulf Shores year over last year. And Dallas Fort Worth, we're up about 8% this year. Again, my Dallas Fort Worth and Gulf Shores, they're just two homes and one home, right? So I don't have a good reading on the whole market. This could be some things that we're doing specifically with our properties. And that's what I'm seeing around the beach is doing better than last year. 2024, for some reason, June was a little bit of a soft summer last year.
It was, yeah.
And this year was way stronger for most owners that I talked to. Yeah.
Yeah, we saw the same thing in Orange Beach. I mean, our year-over-year data is a little bit skewed because we were closed for 4 months of 24 and 6 months of 25 for renovations. So, but as far as the summer data, I mean, the summer we were open for both summers, and we saw the same thing. Especially a lot more demand in the late summer this year too than you normally have.
Yeah,
like August and all that. Just higher revenues than I've seen in years past.
The summer's been good, and August is normally one of our tough months, so sometimes it doesn't recover after that, right? In September, October, and this year it seems like, we got, tons of bookings September, October on the beach, already. And that doesn't always happen. It's kind of finicky, right? It's finicky year over year, depending on probably the economy more than anything, wouldn't you think? I mean, especially in Orange Beach, it's not like they're creating that much more inventory. They are right now, but historically they haven't. Everything's pretty much the same age.
I mean, in my opinion, October is the best month to go to Gulf Shores or Orange Beach.
I'm with you.
The water's warm. You don't have the insane crowds that you have in July.
The jellyfish hopefully are gone by then.
Yeah, it's great. Like,
it's ironically when all the owners
the weather's
go
not
because,
100 degrees, and so that's my favorite time of the month. Of the year to go out there for sure. What I've noticed is that some owners are starting to get a little bit smarter on their pricing too, right? Because now folks are more aware of in the future of how they're pricing, right? And so just you talked about a second ago, like these pricing softwares, right? And so just the leading industry leader and is Price Labs by far. And so, like, for an example, right, one of their features that they have that is default turned on is called far out pricing, right? And so what that does is, hey, 60, 90, 120 days out, it puts premiums on your calendar, right? Saying, hey, if somebody wants to book with you, great, but they're going to pay extra if they're going to book 120 days out or something, right?
Yeah.
By default, it's turned on, right? And the idea of it isn't bad. However, right, like when we start talking about a shoulder season, right, I'm driving occupancy, not solely driving prices. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So my goal isn't necessarily. I would love to have 100% occupancy and 20% more revenue. That'd be a great combo, right? Realistically speaking, right, like you're competing for a smaller set of vacationers that are coming in shoulder season, and so I think some owners are getting a little bit smarter about that, about setting realistic prices for those shoulder seasons. So not saying that October is totally a shoulder season,
Yeah.
but it's starting to get there, right?
I mean,
towards
that
the end of
tends
the
to
month.
be when we go there because, like it's kind of the secret of that area is like there's not as many vacationers, but we like going there for that reason. You don't get as much revenue for the units, so it's a
All
cheaper.
the restaurants are still open.
Yeah, it's a
everything's
cheaper
still
time
going.
for us to go there because anytime we use our own unit, we're not making revenue, right? So if what you're not making is less, makes more sense. And we
Good
found that
fishing
across the
season
board.
too.
So, I mean, our topic here is STR optimization. So what do we do to achieve those? Like, is it just pricing or?
Yeah. So when I have these conversations with owners about pricing, I really see this as it all has to work together, right? And so for me, there's three real components that come into this, right? One is how are you as an operator, right? Secondly is what does your listing look like? So your photos and your copy, right? And third is your pricing, right? So if you do one of those, great, it's good, but you have to do all three, great, right? Because if you don't do one, it all kind of falls over and you don't maximize it, right? So let's talk about like what does that mean from an operation standpoint, right? It used to be in the Airbnb world, Superhost was like the thing. You remember that? Yeah. Oh man, you get your badge, everybody be like, oh, I got Superhost again, right? Well, fun fact, about 40% of all hosts are Superhosts, right?
Yeah.
And so what does that mean, right? That means that it's just out there, right? Like it's not a coveted deal. Airbnb knows this, right? And so Airbnb has lessened the value of the Superhost, right?
It definitely has.
It used to be where you could go and search for a property on Airbnb and you could filter by Superhost, like only show me the Superhost, right? They've even taken that away. You cannot search anymore.
They've made it more listing dependent. Now they do guest favorite filters.
So it used to be that as a host, you could have 10 properties, right? And if you did all the things, right? Like if you maintained above a certain rating as a host, right? If you didn't cancel on people, a couple different things, you would be a super host. But now they really push guest favorites, right?
Yep.
And guest favorites is really property specific, not necessarily host specific, right? And they've also, their initial communication is that it's basically they've limited guest favorites to 2 million homes, 2 million listings. Okay.
Really?
Yeah. And so
worldwide.
Airbnb right now has about 8 million listings. So that means you're in the top 25%, right? Roughly, right? If you are a guest favorite, right, they deem you as like
one of the best,
right?
Yep.
But what does that mean, really, right? Well, now in search, they put a little tag on your listing, right? Right on front, it's like on the corner says guest favorite. You can now search on guest favorite. So if you, as a vacationer, you can't search for Superhost anymore, but if you want to search for guest favorite, you can. And also, the most importantly, is that Airbnb prioritizes guest favorites, right? And right now, I was kind of looking at like the different markets and how it matters, because sometimes in a rural market it's different, right? Because there's not as many listings, your competition isn't as intense, right? But like in the Smoky Mountains, for example, I was looking at this earlier. You are at like let's see, 77% of all listings on the first page are guest favorites, right? And the
They're
other
not all super hosts, though, I bet.
the other 23% are either new listings, right? Because if you're new, you get a boost,
promoted. Yeah.
right? Or you're heavily discounting on price, like heavy discounting to try to get to that first page.
They're strike through
right?
price promotions.
Right.
Yeah.
So the theory there is like you better be a good operator if you want to be guest favorites and if you want to push the price the highest, right? So that's in the Smokies. And Gulf Shores right now, I was checking, it's around 70%. So 70% of the listings on the first page are guest favorites.
Mm-hmm.
And then down here, and I just did a Mansfield search this morning, it's lower, right? It's because with different level of operators and it's different. So we're about 60% here in Mansfield. So
with 60% of our listings in Mansfield are guest favorites.
No.
On the first page.
On the first page, if you want to be on the first page of results,
60% of the first page is guest favorites.
Yeah.
Got it.
Guest favorite isn't a sub-market rating necessarily. They do it based on all the listings. So you have to be in the top ranking of listings.
You need to be in the top 2 million to be labeled. Yeah, they don't really necessarily compare to Mansfield.
They said it was top
DFW.
1% worldwide. Is what they told me. So,
yeah.
Well, they say a lot of things, but I actually met with their success
2 million
team.
out of 8 million is what it is.
Yeah, because now they're doing it based on a whole different metric. But they actually met with Airbnb's success team on their little road show a few weeks ago, and those were the three things they pushed for optimization was guest favorite and how to become one, keeping your calendars open, especially for the World Cup. They made a huge point of that, and I think that's because of supply and demand dynamics that they're worried about. And now I'm drawing a blank on the third. Oh, pricing and strike through and promoting to get to the first page. So, we already knew these things, but they're coming to
reminders.
Tell us. Yeah, to confirm. As
I want to get back to being a good operator because you mentioned that a couple times, but. Kyle, you have always managed our pricing models and you've shifted based on the economy sometimes to a short-term model and sometimes to a long-term model, depending on what the current economic, conditions are dictating. You want to talk about that a little bit? I mean, we talked a little bit about letting things stay open.
Joel kind of touched on it, but I mean, it definitely needs to be dynamic. But every market's different. Like Orange Beach is a vacation market, right? And what I do during the vacation season in Orange Beach, like I have to treat Orange Beach, Broken Bow, DFW, Cedar Creek, like I have to treat all of these completely separately because they have different purposes. Like Broken Bow, you brought it up earlier without specifying the example. Broken Bow became a saturated short-term rental market, kind of like Joel described in the Smokies what's happening, but it was more extreme. It was 2,000% increase in listings in 2 years. That's a 20 times. That's put that in perspective. That's 20 times as many listings as there was 2 years before. I
personally know about 10 people that built a cabin up there during COVID.
Yeah, and then things take time to get built. So when they all finish at the same time, you get this flood. So you're in an extremely competitive pricing model. You go from high revenues to low revenues, and you just have to accept it. You can't change the market dynamics. You can just adapt to them. So you put your pricing and competitiveness, but you also want to be a guest favorite in that market is so important, or else you're just not going to get booked. If there's too many listings to meet the demand to start, then you need to focus on that. But yeah, I've adjusted, and DFW is probably the most dynamic market as far as seasonality and purpose. Is like, how do you price properly for the insurance claims? Like you said, the 20% of your insurance claims, which is pretty much not seasonal, while you're also pricing for vacationers and all that. So you kind of have to know the purpose of who's booking your listing is the most important, which comes to operations and comes to listing optimization.
Yeah, you also have different properties in different locations, even within the DFW market. So you don't treat them all the same, right? Like we have some in the suburbs that you would price and treat completely differently than some that we have like in downtown Fort Worth, where people are coming in and staying for a 2 or 3 day stay to go to a concert or something like that.
You'll never meet in a market like this. You'll never meet all the reasons people are going to book your listing. So you almost have to, and if you have too many reasons, you almost have to pick one and target that, right? Like proximity to Cowboys Stadium. If I'm half a mile from there, I'm targeting, people coming in for events, right?
Sure.
That and charging based on that. Am I charging more for when Cowboys are in town or when it's football season? We play around all that. Now, if I'm 30 miles from the stadium, maybe that's not how I'm pricing.
The poor Rangers. He's totally dismissing the Texas Rangers, the Medal of Honor Museum.
There's no seasonality to baseball.
What about the bowling? Don't we go to the Bowling Hall of Fame?
We got the Bowling Hall of Fame over there. You got the video game forum thing over there.
If the Rangers would ever be like a surefire playoff team,
he's not even a Cowboy fan.
I can increase prices if it was like, sure, they were going to make playoffs, but they're always on this,
I wonder why my Rangers are losing.
I mean, I think it's important, and what you guys are saying is that you really need to zero in on who your target customer is, right?
Exactly.
So whatever that might be, if you're next to the stadium and you want to focus on those events, that's it, right? For me, like our home that we have here in Mansfield, it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, right? That has a third sleeping area that sleeps 6, right? And so when I look at my calendar, I actually don't want to book out far. Because for me, if I have like a one random booking that's like 2 months out, that's probably going to mean I'm not going to get an insurance claim, right? Because these insurance claims, they don't want to like move in for like 4 weeks, move out for a couple of days, and then move in for 4 weeks, right? Yeah. Like they want to stay, right? A single place. So
and you can't just cancel reservations on
right.
people. Yeah.
So for me at that particular home, right, I don't necessarily look for a lot of long-term like way out in the future type bookings, unless it's at a big compression event, like you're in football season, you're going to get Cowboy bookings, right? So that's just going to happen, right? But generally speaking, I don't necessarily want to get a couple random days in January today. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And do you use booking windows for that, or price hiking in the future?
Well, yeah. So it's to discourage that, right? Like what I will do is that for that particular home, I'll have a little bit higher prices farther out.
Yeah.
However, I do offer a good amount of discounts, like for 30-day bookings, right? So that I try to make it so that even though the prices are a little bit higher, if it is an insurance claim and they're putting in like a 30-day stay or something like that, it'll get down to their realistic price of what I'm happy with. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that way you're kind of going.
We have one in Grand Prairie that I kind of treat like that, very similar to that, because there's even a regulatory component to it that. If we book 30, because there's a short-term rental tax in Grand Prairie, and it's not cheap, it's 8%, right? If we book a 30-day stay, it's no longer a short-term rental. You don't have to pay that tax, so we can give a little bit more incentive to book 30-plus day stays. So that's what we target, because it also makes, there's other reasons. It's a 5-bedroom home. It could be a party house for 2 days stays. So there's all these different reasons, but there's even regulatory components is where I'd put that. Because Gulf Shores has really cheap SCR taxes too, but
we've had a pretty good discussion about pricing. I hope that we've kind of nailed it. You had mentioned being a good operator as being one of the 3 things you really want to do to kill it, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk briefly about that. Like, summarize what that means. What does that mean to you, Joel?
Yeah, the biggest component that I found is, you want to, this really comes down to 3 things. 1, having your property just spotless and ready to go when somebody arrives, right? And what does that mean realistically? That means like having an inventory checklist for your kitchen, right? So that like every now and then you can go through it to make sure you've got, your pots and pans aren't all scratched up. You've got the right number of glasses. Your forks always seem to go missing because people throw them away in the trash can. Yep. Like all of your things in your kitchen are there, right, that you're expecting. Obviously, you need a good cleaning team, right? Because people show up. 100%. Cleanliness is like one of the key parts of any short-term rental.
Biggest
having
thing.
A clean home.
Yep.
And making sure that it gets clean, right? That it's on the schedule. They show up, that type of thing, right? But beyond those are like table stakes for me. Like just kind of, you have to do those things.
Those
right?
are elementary. Yeah, absolutely.
And so if you're doing those, fine. For me, it's all around communication with the guest. How do you add value to them during your stay? So like for all of ours, I think most of us have automated messaging, right? But still, when you send automated messaging out, there's ways you can send it so it doesn't look like there's a robot that's sending their messages, right? You can craft your messages so they're warm and they're towards the person. Still, like, for example, on the day of check-in, right, we send out a note to the incoming guest that says, depending on the market, it's all different. But like, let's say the Smokies, right? We'll say Smokies are always busy, okay? And we know check-in's at 4. We know restaurants are going to be packed, and it's going to be, you get there and you offload your stuff, you're hungry, you're going to want to go eat. We know it's probably going to be an hour-long wait to get in a restaurant, right?
Yeah.
Which is a disaster if you have kids, right? Because it's like the first day is already off to a bad start. So we send off a note the day of and say, hey, it's busy in the area. Here's our top 10 restaurants. These all take reservations. Here's the link. You should call ahead on your way in and make a reservation so that when you're ready to eat, you can just jump in and you don't have to wait in line or now thinking, what do we do? Or if you just want to get pizza delivered, here's the best pizza place that can do that, right? And so we try to send off some messages like that just kind of add value and kind of help think through their problems as a vacationer. That
before they even realize, Yeah.
And then, some other things that we do that really kind of help with that. It's all customer satisfaction, right? It's all we're talking about. And make sure they have an amazing experience. That, stuff that we don't, if somebody comes and stays with us for a week, right? We're not necessarily going to supply all the toilet. If you have a group of 15, we're not just going to have endless rolls of toilet paper for you, right? Like we say that up front, right? Like, hey, we've got a good starter set of everything you need between toilet paper, paper towels, dishwasher, all, laundry soap, all that stuff. And, realistically, if somebody sends me a message like, hey, we're out of toilet paper, I will just Instacart them toilet paper, right? Yeah. Because no problem. Like, happy to send it to you. And I don't just send the toilet paper. I'll throw in cinnamon rolls and like some popcorn in there, right? Mm-hmm. And, that through Instacart, this might be like a $30, $35, thing. But for me, that pretty much guaranteed a 5-star review. You know what I mean?
Those little things do.
And which drives more bookings, which pushes you higher up in the search, So I think sometimes I talk to owners and they get really stuck, right, on these things. Well, I communicated I only gave you 3 rolls per bathroom, yes, right. But big picture, like, what are you after? We're all here to make more money on these things, right? And to do that, right, this is a cycle, and it all feeds itself. You got to meet the
expectations of all your guests, and every guest has different expectations. So, sometimes you go a little, whatever you got to do to get that done, right? That's what you're saying. Because what you described is at all those points, it's timing, right? On messaging, it's getting the proper timing of the proper information, so that they can, the experience can be good. That's what I always say about automated messaging. Like, you can have automated messaging where people get caught up. Is they're like, all right, well, you booked. Here's all your information. Well, why do I need checkout instructions 4 months before I'm staying there? Why do I need all this stuff? Give it to me as I need it. You're gonna know when I need it, and it makes the whole experience way better.
I think
I've gotten reviews from people that said we had the best communication ever that we never spoke to, and it's not that we wouldn't have, we just didn't need to. It's like the what we gave them was enough for them. They didn't even need to talk to us. So timing's huge.
I think that's one of the things we're really careful about, right? Is to your point and yours, Kyle, is that not only do you give it to them in a timely manner, but in bits and pieces, right? Like if you give somebody, you were talking about this, Joel, you give somebody a whole bunch of information, all the information they need. There's a lot of stuff to communicate. And if in the middle of that, it says that they get 3 rolls of toilet paper, it's kind of understandable that somebody might miss that. I don't know if you're like me, but somebody sends me a long message like that, I'm skimming it or
looking for the door code or the Wi-Fi.
Right. And the value add of what you said, because that's huge value add of the restaurants and the reservations. I mean, if you included that in a huge packet, right, and they wouldn't see that at the appropriate time, when they needed about it. Yeah, when they're needing it, and then they wouldn't appreciate it.
So the other, like another example of that is when the guest checks out, right? So checkout day, we do send them like a lot of people, we send them a message saying, hey, we left you, a 5-star review. Will you leave us one? We're a new business. We're trying to get going, blah, 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 right? Personalize it. But we're really intentional at like, I want to send it when they're driving home, right? So like usually the spouse is in the car and the other person's on their phone and they get it right then. Well, they don't have anywhere to go, anything to do. They can we have a better response rate if we send it out like around 2 or 3 o'clock on the day of checkout, right? Because in the Smokies anyways, most of our guests are at like in a 6-hour drive radius, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we know they're going to be driving home during that time. If we can catch them in the car, we have a way better response rate on.
Yeah,
like
and
instead of sending it 3 days later or something.
Or you
now
send
you're
it at
home.
checkout and they're too busy packing up or moving and
Right.
like they forget about it, you
Right.
know? Because we do the same thing. Yeah, it's about 2 hours after checkout, but
Yeah. So that makes a big difference. I guess one last thing on operations that's helped is just this whole theme is anticipating questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
On what you have, right? Anticipating friction points that they might have, right? So another thing that we do in all of our places, in all markets, is I've made all these how-to videos on how to use things, right? So we have hot tubs, I think at I don't know, 10 out of 11 places, something like that. And so nobody has hot tubs at home. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and so, early on it was like, hey, how do we turn this thing off? Like, how do we use it? Like, whatever. Right. And so for me, just going into and creating these videos that they can access, like via a QR code that's framed in the home as soon as they get there, like, house information or how do I use a theater, right? Instead of like you got a couple remotes or you can just watch the video. You know what I mean? And so usually that really takes out a lot of questions and it answers a lot of things that you don't have to respond to, right? Because they're finding that right there.
yeah, and over time, another one, I know we talk about reviews a lot, but just to get listing optimized in your operations, the way they tie together is if people mention things in your reviews, it really helps in the search, right? Like you can host a listing that says you have a hot tub. That's great. But if Airbnb sees that you have 10 guests that said, we love the hot tub, and like that keyword's in there a whole bunch of times, now you get ranked higher for hot tub listings, right? So they really do tie together. And yet you're essentially a revenue manager for people who do their own listing optimization and operations. So on the flip side of that, how do you respond to either someone who does it really well and someone who doesn't do it as well? How does that affect your job as the pricer?
No, that's a great question. So usually on my calls with prospective clients, right? We spend probably, I would say 75% of the call walking through their listing and how they operate. 25% maybe talking about pricing.
Yeah.
Because those, a lot of folks will get on a call and they're like, hey, everything's good, just my pricing, I don't know what I'm doing. And we'll look at a listing and maybe they're at 4.6 on their rating and they've got cell phone pictures and like, hold on, like there's a lot of things we need to fix, right? Before I can be really effective at pricing, right? Now, I don't get paid like a percentage of revenue or anything like that. It's a flat base, right? But I still want the person to be successful, right?
Yeah.
Get it, So that's a lot of that we have. And so,
because you want to pay for yourself, right? Essentially.
I want to add value. I want them to get value out of my service, right? And for them to get value out of my service, they've got to, a lot of times, fix the rest of what we're talking about. So let's talk about that really quick, right? Yep. And so whenever I have these discussions, a lot of it comes down to what do the photos look like? What does the copy look like? Of course, it's different in each market as you're going after different vacationers. But when we talk about photos, there's the normal things that we say, hey, we have to have professional photos, right? So don't do them on your phone. I think I still run into probably about 20% of the listings that I talk to, they still have phone pictures in and out of the listing.
What's the percentage of front page listings with phone pictures?
Yeah, extremely small.
It's
right.
Zero,
yeah, especially in a big vacation market, right?
Yeah.
So that's always obviously low-hanging fruit, right? Is, hey, we've got to get these done. But other than that, when you physically organize your listing, Airbnb, you've got a highlight photo, and then you've got 4 supporting photos, right? If you were to pull up somebody's listing page, right?
Yeah. That
highlight photo is what you see in search. And so it depends who you're going after. Who is your person that you're targeting, right? And so if I have a place that's in like the Smokies that is a 4-bedroom, right, with an indoor pool, right, 9 out of 10 times I'm getting families, I'm getting kids, right? Those are who I'm looking for, those who's staying with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make sure my listing leads with fun, right? Like, because you're booking something and your kids are going to be excited about it. And a lot of times you make the decision based off, oh, our kids really love that. They're excited about this thing, right? And so, like, you're leading with a hot tub, you're leading with the pool, you're leading with the pool table, in an exterior photo shot,
Mm-hmm.
Well, a lot of times where I see people, they're really proud of their kitchen they just did, or they're proud of the living room, right?
Yeah.
Or, man, I really worked hard on this master bedroom. And so they're
That's not why
trying to
they're
attract
there.
families, but their lead photos are like their HGTV, like
Right.
only like the living room, the kitchen, or whatever, right? And they're nice, but that's not necessarily like
drawing
your
people.
brain as a vacationer when you're booking for kids,
You're showing
right?
them things they expect to have, like a TV, right? Like you
Yeah.
expect to have that.
Unless it's something stand out, right? Like even like if you have like an 85-inch TV, depending on the photograph, it may not show up as an 80. It may not look that huge depending on the room and how it is, right? But anyway, so leading with fun is uber important.
Well,
if you have a family, if you have a honeymoon place, right? You're going to have a different target set, right, in your first 5, right? Maybe you're not going to lead with a pool table. Maybe it would be a jacuzzi tub, right, with bubbles or whatever.
With
what I mean?
the pedals around it and stuff, right?
It's interesting because it's so important, and you get those 5 photos to highlight, and not just that. I mean, the Smokies, it's probably pretty consistent, but even here, like we've talked about our listings here in DFW, some of the bigger ones, like the bigger family homes, like for example, we have a big family home that has a pool. I highlight the pool for most of the year, but when we get into about October, we rotate pictures of because it's not a heated pool, but we rotate in to the main photo pictures of the kitchens to show how big the kitchens are, because you have people booking now for Thanksgiving and Christmas. What do they care? They want to see.
Nobody's getting
what
in the pool.
Kitchen looks like, not what the pool is, right? So when you have someone now booking to cook Thanksgiving dinner, you want to show your 2 ovens, which sounds stupid, but and then once it gets booked, we rotate it off. So there's strategies like that. But these are the things that your clients essentially either do well or don't do well. How do you respond to them with your pricing?
Well, I mean, I don't take all clients.
Yeah.
Okay. So
that's a good point.
If we talk through it and they are resistant and it just may not be a good fit, that's okay, right?
Yeah.
I can still give them my time and give them my suggestions, and here's the things I think you could do to help grow your business or do it differently or improve. But yeah, I don't take all clients that we talk to. You know what I mean?
Do
so
you
it
help
has to be a
people
good fit.
in all markets, or just the markets that you know?
Oh, I think we're in 14 different markets for pricing.
Okay.
Yeah, everywhere from like Phoenix to East Coast to beaches. Yeah.
Well, because like essentially what you're saying, revenue management, pricing management. I mean, revenue is based on occupancy, pricing, reputation, all this stuff. Like what amenities. Well, you don't have full control over all those factors. So
right.
So you're trying to optimize the factors you do have control over.
Yeah.
Based on the service being provided.
Yeah, and the other piece I see, like when we talked, so that was the photos. So we talked about the listing itself and the wording. I mean, vacationers we're kind of simple, right? Like we like our big TVs, we like our high internet speeds,
Yep.
Things, proximity, location, mattresses, stuff like that. So what I try to tell folks is like, look, if you, for example, have, high, not everybody has high-speed internet. And what does high-speed mean, right? Some people, high-speed means 50 megabits down. Some people, that means a terabyte. You know what I mean? So I found it's super important to actually put the number right up the top of your listing, right? What do we have? 300 megabits down? If you... And I tell people sometimes the simplest way to do an upgrade is if you have a big living room and you can take a 70-inch TV, a 75-inch, put it up. It's going to cost $400 for the TV, and that's one booking, right? And so being able to just put, especially like in Mansfield, think of that, right? The number of homes that will like go to have a 70-inch or 75-inch TV is so small, right? So that's just a simple way to stand out, right?
Well, and make sure your internet meets what you put in the house. Because I've actually taken one over from someone who set it up, and there was 5 like not just smart TVs. There were Samsung smart TVs, like the good ones that run quick and 4K, all that stuff. Well, if your guests show up and think that all your TVs suck because you have 25 megabytes down, because if they're all streaming at night, like nothing's working. It has nothing to do with the TV. It's your internet speed. That you want that to be there, and you can even get the value out of it. Like you said, you can put it at the top. Airbnb allows you to run a speed test directly on their app that then shows them this isn't just an estimated speed. This is literally what we tested. So it's so important. We do that on all our listings because it's like if they go as far to integrate a speed test into their app, you should probably use it.
Right. But anyway, so putting numbers in your listing, kind of like a resume, you're putting numbers and metrics in that. Putting some of that stuff in we have a couple of theaters and the Smokies, and they're big screens, or 120-inch, 10-foot screens. And I always saw a big difference in the title, right? We're putting 10-foot movie screen, right? I mean, it's different than just writing theater. You know what I mean? Because theater can mean a lot of things. It can mean I have a 55-inch TV and a couple chairs in front of it, right? With a sound bar, right? Or it could mean you have a 10-foot screen and you know what I mean? Stadium seating and the whole thing, right? So because all they see is that picture, that lead photo, and then, your whole title doesn't always go underneath it, right? It gets concatenated, right?
Yeah.
And so you just need to make sure that whenever you're putting that together.
What? Is that a word?
It doesn't, it gets shortened.
Let's go back to
concatenated.
It's definitely a word.
Concatenated?
Wow, I just learned something today. Thanks, Joel.
That just means it doesn't show the whole, there's not enough real estate for the whole thing.
I need you to write that down for me.
They will, shorten it. Yeah. Anyways, put your most important stuff up front. How about
if you're writing in C, if you shorten a string, it's called concatenating.
Yeah.
So.
That's okay.
I love it when I hear new words. This is great, man. Just when you think you're good at English, man, then you hear
if you were to take a knife and cut a word in half, you'd be throw away the other side.
So to kind of just wrap that up, I think, really anybody, especially in these traditional vacation markets, anybody can make money in the peak seasons, right?
Yeah.
Everybody is going to be, 80 to 90% to 100%, right? But the real, how you move the needle is how do you get booked in the off season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where you're going to grow like another 15, 20,000 your revenue is how are you booking, right? Are you the guy that's at least getting 4,000 to 5,000 a month, right? In the slow times, or are you the one that's getting 1,000 or 1,500? Like that's where the needle is moved, right?
Yeah, there's 10 listings.
If you're able, of course you don't want to give away any of your prime season at low rates. That's obvious, but beyond that is how do you book in the shoulder season?
Do you find that owners are hesitant to price correctly during the off season because whatever you're pricing it at doesn't match their out of pocket during that time?
Yeah, I've had that discussion, and I guess my response is, well, if you don't price that, then your out of pocket's going to be more.
Right.
Then
that's right.
It's going to be worse. So the other way I look at it is, of course, we're all anxious about lowering rates because usually, right, that could bring like the wrong type of person, or that could bring somebody who like stuffs a bunch of people and have a big party at the home or something, right? But what I tell people is that, look, like nobody's planning like a rave like 6, 9, 12 months in advance. Okay. Like grandma, like that's the perfect person that you're looking for who is planning ahead for the slow time, right? They're planning 6, 9, 12 months out. It'll be a lower price. I'm going to give them an early booking discount just for like those slow months, right? Because I'm trying to push the listing higher in the algorithm. And I'm okay with that. I like the advanced bookers because I'm pushing occupancy in those.
But you like advanced bookings in the off season,
in the vacation markets.
And there's a completely different mindset for peak season, right? Mm-hmm. So you're almost paying a premium if you stay in peak and book in advance, and the other way around.
Well, even in like the beach, right, where I think that has like the most. I don't know, the peak season there, right, is more standout than like the Smokies, right? Because and the Smokies are really 4 months of the year that are like high. and Gulf Shores or Orange Beach or Destin or whatever, right? It's really limited, right? Down further. And so for me, you still have these prime booking windows, right? And so like for us, for Gulf Shores this year, right? Our homes were sitting at like 45 to 60 days, like for the summer, right? Mm-hmm. And so what that means is that we were getting our highest rates, right? Our best bookings 45 to 60 days out. Once I got inside a 45, closer to 30, like there's a time period where you're holding the price too long, right? And then
starts going down.
Like you're not being gradual with it. You're not starting to do a slight reduction along with it. You know, like you're still thinking, oh, last year I got $750 a night. I'm going to hold on to that, right? And now you're 2 weeks out, right? And then now you're dropping to $400 a night, right? Because you're getting, nervous. You know what I mean? So like just understanding that booking window so you can kind of come down as you get past it is key.
And where this can sound familiar to our listeners is like, this is no different than we talk about how, your taxes and insurance and mortgage payment don't set the rate of your rent, right? Mm-hmm. The market sets the rate. And it doesn't matter what market you're in, it's stubbornness kills you, right? Because if you're like, well, this is what I got last year, blah, blah, blah. This is what it cost me, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, you should be charging what people will pay for anything to maximize what you will get. So.
Well, we talk about it all the time, understanding what your vacancy cost is, right? And that's kind of the theme of what you've been talking about. With short-term rentals, it's way more intricate, right? There's way more that goes into it. But if you were to strip it all down to something, it is increasing my occupancy is going to make me more money than worrying about what my rate is. Of course, you want your rate to be as high as possible. We do that in the long term also, but having a home sitting vacant costs you money and doesn't make you any money. No, and that's true short term and long term.
I'm going to disagree with you with that direct comparison.
You're going to overthink what I just said.
Well, no, you don't want to focus on occupancy versus price. I could get 100% occupancy for $1 on all our listings.
It really comes down to the season. So you have different seasons that go along with what you said, right? And then you have other seasons that'll have a different strategy, right? Where you'll push more price, and it's less occupancy driven, it's more price driven. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, it's revenue driven, right? Exactly. You're trying to, regardless of what
it's a pendulum, right?
Yeah, it is.
So some months for me, I see them as more occupancy driven because you're not going to be able to be increasing your price. You're really going to drive your occupancy, right? You want to stay steady and drive occupancy. Other months, hey, I'm going to try to push my price maybe like 10% over what I did last year, right? And then at some point, I'm going to start to lower that price, but it's going to be more price driven.
Yeah, because once supply starts beating demand, you want to get your occupancy before everybody else realizes that there isn't as much demand.
Yeah. So. An empty house doesn't make you any money.
So the other thing I wanted to kind of talk through is this past year we've done a couple of different amenities on some homes, some different markets. And
Love it.
Talk about like some raw numbers on like how much did it cost to do it? What are we getting out of it? That type of thing. Yeah. And so I tried to pick two that were very different. So one is here in Mansfield, Dallas-Fort Worth, our little home. So we put a hot tub in November of last year. And so what did that mean for us? I mean, this is a garden home. And so we had to extend out the concrete patio. Mm-hmm. We put up a covered patio on it. That was actually a great deal. Did you know they sell covered patios on Amazon?
Yeah.
It is amazing. Cedar with metal roofs, and they deliver that thing to your house.
He definitely knows.
And you put it together like adult Legos. It's amazing. And they've got like all the bolts and the holes and everything.
It's great, man.
That's great.
I didn't get mine through Amazon, but I know exactly what you're talking about. I've done it twice.
It's great. Yeah, we did it at our own home. We have a 15 by 10. And at we did a 10 by 10.
The irony is, not to get away from your point, but the irony is I had like 5 different contractors come and give me an estimate for what I wanted to do for this cabana. And it was somewhere between like $4,000 and $8,000. Mm-hmm. And I went to Costco and I'm standing there looking at this thing in Costco. I'm like, this is what I want. This is what all these guys are estimating for me. It's like $999.
Yeah.
And they, like you said, they deliver it to your driveway.
Yeah. It's a very similar product, I think, to that. But anyway, so we put a new pad in. We got the hot tub, did did this type of, cedar metal roof awning, put the electrical in. So all in, we were at, right at, I think, about $12,000 to do all that. And so let's see. So I'd started comparing some revenue from December 1st to the 31st.
Because that's when you did it?
Yeah.
It was prior to December 1st?
Yeah,
Okay.
in November. Yeah. Right. And so year over year, we've seen, compared to the year prior, and a 9% revenue increase. ADR has gone up 7%. Occupancy, it's just pretty even. It's like plus 2%. But, what that comes down to, it's about an 18-month payback.
Pretty good.
And so that's great, right? I mean, what other investment can you say, hey, I spent $12,000 on it, but 18 months, it'll pay itself off, and everything beyond that
makes the investment.
And a hot tub will last way longer than 18 months,
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting because I had gone back and forth about this. I know some other investors in the area, and they swore to hot tubs in this area. It's just, it's very different because in the Smokies, if you don't have a hot tub, it's like not having air conditioning. Yeah. Like you have to have it, right?
Yeah.
So it's not even a thing. But it is very different here, and there are not a lot of competitors that have standalone hot tubs, right? I mean, you might have one part of a pool, right?
Yeah.
But that's a whole different thing of now I'll have to talk to the guests where say, hey, if you want to heat the spa, it's going to cost so much money because you can't just keep it heated all the time, right?
No,
the hot tub it's always on, right? And so there's no additional charge to the guest to use it or anything. It's just an expectation.
For the standalone hot tubs, they're always on. Yeah, but like
That's
the ones that are in pools, I've actually dealt with that scenario before where we put a standalone next to a pool because it was operationally it was the only way
way
to do
cheaper.
it. Yeah, because otherwise, what are you going to use natural gas to heat the pool and the hot tub all the time?
Right.
No, you'd spend $200 a day doing that.
And our electricity bills really haven't gone up all that much. Like, what are the added costs to it, every month? It's probably, but, because we do empty that thing and refill it, I'd probably say twice a month, just to keep everything sanitary. And we do see a little bit on our electricity bill, but it's well worth it. So that's Mansfield here. But I want to also kind of talk about just something completely different, and that's $12,000 price tag. And everybody's got $12,000 to dump into it. The other one that we did this past year was in Gulf Shores. And so there we have a 4-bedroom, 4-bath home. It's about 4 years old. It's a tier 2 home. So what that means is like you have the row of homes that are on the beach, and then you have the road, and then you have the next row of houses. So we're not on the beach, but we're about a 3-minute walk.
You're across the street from the beach.
Yeah,
the highway's in between.
Right.
It's a small 2-lane highway. With not much traffic.
And you've got the lagoon on one side, and you've got the beach on the other. So for that one, I did something similar, different improvement, but we did it in August of last year. So this time last year. So I was measuring it from September to end of August. And for that one, what we did was I noticed I was trying to come up with another amenity I could add to the home. It's on stilts. We don't have a lot of yard. It's not like I can't add a fire pit or something like that.
I know where this is going.
And so I was like, man, what can I do with this? And we have this carport, right? We have 4 cars underneath it. And so I added a shuffleboard court, right?
Okay.
And so I painted a shuffleboard court. I probably spent maybe $500-$600 on the paint and the stencils and all the supplies and that type of stuff. But anytime you add these amenities, even like the hot tub, just doing the amenity isn't it, right? Like you have to get good photographs.
You have to market it well.
And you have to market it, right? Yep. You can't just do the amenity. So
and then you need reviews to mention.
For me, I wanted to stack it, right? And so I did the shuffleboard court, and it's bright blue, it's beachy, and then I really wanted to redo my exterior photos of the home. So one of the things I've really learned, like in some of these vacation markets, is twilight photos put your house in a completely different look than it does just like taking the same photo in the middle of the day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there are very few photographers that will physically show up at your home at like when the sun's coming up at like 6 a.m. to take the right shot, right? Most of them will say, hey, send me your daytime shot and I will like use
Make it look like a twilight.
Photoshop and I'll like try to make it look like a sunset. Totally different, right? So I hired a photographer. He came out to the home. We put all the string lights up, all that stuff. So right at, sun's coming up, you can turn all the lights on. And, that one does have a pool. So the pool light was on and it just really popped. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And, we've got the shuffleboard in there and all that. And so that whole project between the new pictures and the shuffleboard was probably right around like $2,000. And that thing has just gone up crazy. We've owned that home for 4 years. So I've got a lot of pre-numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just,
Right.
not just like just happened.
Yeah.
Right.
But that property's gone up 20%.
Wow.
Same time this year. And now I will say, it's not all associated to that because we did have Morgan Wallen come through. And so that weekend sold
He was
a lot
only there
better.
for 4 days.
It sold better. Well, we sold Hangout Fest before. But this one we did have a little bit longer stay, at a little bit higher rate, but it definitely made a big difference. I think our ADR over the whole year is up 11%, occupancy's up 8%.
For $2,000.
Right.
That's pretty
so
good.
I guess, you don't always have to spend a ton of money on this stuff. The big piece of it is to look at your competitors, whatever market you're in, see what they're doing, see what all the lead photos look like for the first 2 pages of search, right?
Yeah.
Does yours just look like theirs? Right? What do the highest performing properties have, right? What are they leading with, right? And so when I did that search in Gulf Shores, I was going through, like I was on page 4 and I saw one home that had twilight photos, right? And it, you think it is kind of weird. It's like, it's just a photo, right? Like how does,
yeah.
But that's your whole marketing profile, right? It's how you're just trying to get them to see your property and like, that's different. And then click it, right? And then hopefully your operations, they say, oh, this has got 120 5-star reviews, right? Like, oh, it's only 3. Then now they're in, and
how
hopefully
do you catch the people scrolling?
Your
right?
copy, right, is getting them. But you're just trying to get them off of that search page, right, to pick you. And so I would say that maybe it's not a twilight photo, right? Maybe it's something different. And maybe all the others, right, just have living room photos, right, and they're white walls, right? And like, hey, you're trying to think maybe if I had a big statement room, right, where I had, a blue room or something else, right,
Mm-hmm.
that would just pop. Maybe that you bring an amenity that somebody else doesn't have, so.
Sometimes you're trying to create a feeling, right? When you're doing those beachy ones, like sometimes some of our featured photos are of the turtle with a cool little saying like, come to the beach or whatever, you know what I mean? Like something there that makes you get you in the mood for, I can't wait to get my toes in the sand, So sometimes that's what it is. I love it.
You keep using the name of the festival and all your sentences.
That's boots.
Oh,
That's boots in the sand.
Sorry.
So,
in the sand.
I take my boots off before I get in the sand.
Even in your example, you're talking about taking a listing you've obviously been optimizing for years and doing this made it better, right? So you can get even significant, probably more significant increases if you're trying to fight from the bottom to the middle or the middle to the top, right? Because that's how they got up there, is by doing these things.
Yeah. I love this. This was such valuable information, Joel. I really appreciate you sharing all this with us. The not just the pricing stuff, but how to be a good operator, right? And how to find little things to make your listing even better. There are so many people out there trying to do this themselves, and that's kind of why you're helping people, right? That's kind of why you're consulting. Your pricing business is kind of more of a consulting business, isn't it? Really, it sounds like. I mean, on a day-to-day basis, you're doing pricing, but you're literally consulting with these people to explain, to show them how to do it better because of your experience with your 14 properties, right? Did I get that number right? I think
yeah. I mean, that's a lot of it. It's, I enjoy it. Like, it's fun. Like, that's kind of, I mean, I mean, I was prior to this, I was in healthcare IT for 20 something years.
That doesn't
I didn't enjoy
sound
that
fun.
one as much, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and like, it's like anytime you leave a job, it's like usually the people that you miss the most. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's the same thing, right? Like,
Yep.
you don't miss the work necessarily, but just the people, the relationships.
Yep.
This one's different because basically the people I work with are my maintenance guy, my cleaning people, and they're, please stop calling me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've got to like find a new group of people that I can reach out and consult with. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
So that's worked out for me. Yeah, and I've started taking on a couple of property management clients up in the Smokies. It's mainly because I know so many folks up there. You have properties, that many properties. People call you back. They actually show up when they say they're going to show up. And so I've been able to kind of bring people into that system. From that, also kind of continue that a little bit.
Well, and I'll give you one final point on the listing optimization part. Why is your name? Excuse me. What the name of your company? What is it again? It's
Red Glider Getaways.
Yeah, and what's the reason for that?
Yeah, man, I think a lot of it was 5-6 years ago when we were pulling this together. We were just trying to find something that was different.
Yeah,
not the same. Each one of our properties has like one of those old metal red gliders at the property. And so, yeah, every property's got that cabin. The beach, actually, the beach is not metal. We went with poly. It's got a red poly glider because it would not last at the beach, with the salt.
but see, that's not just something unique and different. It's specific to you.
Yeah.
So
that was a lot of it. Hey, where do you find that it's searchable, right? And so all of our listings say like at the very part of the description, it'll say like Appleton by Red Glider Getaways. Appleton is our Mansfield listing, right?
Okay.
And so if you were to just take that and copy and paste it into Google, you'll find our direct booking site. So a lot of it was, how do I find something that's distinct and unique and different, so that when somebody does searches, we're right there, right? Other than, like, I didn't know I was going to go in the other markets when we started in the Smokies,
Yeah.
Like something like Smoky Mountain Getaways would not have worked. You know what I mean? Like, you've never been found.
Then that would have probably not gone specifically to you, even that was your name. So
I wish there was a deeper meaning. Like my grandma used to sit on red gliders and read me stories when I was little, but
you start looking into the meanings of some of the company, like Apple, right? It's not some deeper meaning either. So some people think it is, but
it doesn't matter. It's unique to you, and that's what matters. And you've consistently, I love that you've consistently used it across all of your properties. That's awesome. That's cool.
Unless you guys have anything else, Joel, we appreciate you coming in here to talk with us. This is extremely,
thanks for your time,
extremely
man.
valuable.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's good catching up.
Yeah, hope to have you again. And if you guys have any questions, want to find Red Glider Getaways, I'll let Joel tell you that first.
Oh, it's simple. RedGliderGetaways.com.
There you go. Give us a call, 817-818-9039. Shoot us an email at showmethemoney@wearetpm.com, and we are all out.
Later.